Okay, my friends, I have some disturbing news. Now, I'm hoping it's just that I'm taking this wrong, but the way I'm seeing it is Derek Mueller from Veritasium, who I've always regarded as being extremely interested in truth, put out this video that said post-truth, why facts don't matter anymore. And I'm thinking, wow, this is fabulous. Somebody's finally going to confront academia and say, academia, you have to pay attention to facts. And then it turns out, I believe, it's just the opposite. He's saying, no, the facts are already out there. We know everything there is. All you got to do is click your phone and it'll give you the answer. How can these false stories be spreading around? And he talks about politics. Yes, that's just all nonsense. Nobody knows what the truth is there. There's no truth there. It's all opinion there. I am a material scientist, and that's what I thought Derek was too. Now, you're going to have to watch this yourself, but I'm going to do a couple of clips out of here just to show you what he's talking about. And I think he's talking about people like me that confront academia and mainstream science with actual facts, and he's just dismissing me because he's saying, no, you don't get these facts that you're coming up with. The facts you should be looking at is on your phone. That's the way I took it. Now, I hope I'm wrong, because I like Derek, and this really kind of upset me. I got to be perfectly honest with you. All right, now, Derek is obviously a very intelligent guy. He's classically trained in physics and all that stuff. Now, the only problem is what he was taught was not correct. And that's what I want to be able to confront is, let's take a look at the new evidence. And he says, oh yeah, this is where we should be doing it on the internet. And then all of a sudden, it sounds to me like he's saying, don't listen to this guy. Now, I don't know if he's directing at me or not, but he's saying that the algorithms put people together that all think the same way, whether or not they're right or wrong, doesn't matter anymore. It's just as long as you can get enough people around you to think the way you think. And that's exactly what happened, but that's academia. And now, it looks to me like it might be Veritasium too. Okay, before we start talking about what Derek has to say, I just want you to know, again, I'm a material scientist. I don't do anything that doesn't have some support, technical material evidence to support it. And this is light accelerating, and we're showing the particles, the exact same particles that CERN and Fermilab are looking for, which is the muon neutrino, electron neutrino, turning into muons and electron showers, precisely what you see here. We accelerated light. I believe that's acceleration. If you can say it's not, I'd like to know why. This is a photon. It came from a red laser, and it's being enhanced by using CMOS technology, which that's the same thing they use everywhere else for cosmic ray detectors and everything. It's fully understood that it does capture extremely brilliant luminous particles. You can't just take a picture of an electron just laying there, but if it's glowing, which ours are in extreme amounts, you can see them. And you see this black ball, exactly what Don Lincoln at Fermilab says is the muon. And you see this white little particle, which is a point particle, they say, Don says, and this is not allowed to be seen. Now, I say that is facts don't matter. These are facts. These aren't guesses. We have the same particles in red and green. The green is much more powerful than the red. Of course, we have them in blue too. And this is what particles look like. We started with nothing more than light, so we're not doing anything exceptional here. This is red laser pulsed. Bip, 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 bip. This is the air that has electrons in it, concussing with the electrons coming forward, which are part of the photons. That's the photon. All right, that is what is right in here, right in there. That's what's called particle wave duality. The photon, which is this back-to-back magnets, it's all they are, is tiny little back-to-back magnets, dipoles. And they sit at the tip of this wave coming through, and all the other particles that have charge, which every particle does, has to get out of the way so they glow. This is the big glower, this is the less glower. That's a fact. This is that same light as it approaches the Venturi. It appears to speed up. it needs to be discussed, but I would say that's a fact. It sure looks like it to me. And you can see an enormous increase in energy here, which they claim at CERN is 207 times more energy. These are the Higgs fields they show at CERN. This is the blue light coming in really hot. Blue you can't really see all that well. You see the red you can see quite well. And the green you can see also very well. These are facts. All right, once again, this is from an article Don Lincoln did in 2013 saying there's a big black particle they have seen, and there's a point particle that, this is fixed, they call it, and these are point, and they just change and get bigger, smaller, and they may not even be there, apparently, as far as mass goes, but they have a hell of a lot of burn energy. Now, that is a fact. This is the particle right here. That's the particle. All right, this is what Don Lincoln is asking for. That's what we produced. And it came from light, so it's not just some big smash of particles like they use, photons. This is from CERN, muon neutrino, electron neutrino. That's that black and white ball. This is the muon neutrino, fixed particle. This is the electron neutrino, which is what we always call an electron. But they're back to back together, and this is literally dark matter. It's the carrier. It's the boson, it's the muon, it's the dark matter, it's all the things they've been looking for. We found it, they won't allow us to show it because it upends their science. Now these are facts, these are not, and there's no guesses here, these are facts. If you can look at these and just dismiss these, then you are not a factual person. If you can't stand up and even talk about it and discuss it, then you are not a scientist. And that's what's happened to me straight across the board. Every single university, Fermilab, CERN, all of them. Here's some more facts. These are lungs. That one there has been CAT scanned, DNA tested. It leaks blood out of here. I've shown this many, many times. This is the actual blood that came out of these as they were extracted from the very wet red clay. And they deteriorate into different, this still has all of the pleura, which is the coating around the lung, the rubber bag around it. This one's completely gone. It's all the way down to the alveoli. You see the alveoli here? There it is right there. And then little blood bubbles came out of here because the lungs are pretty much saturated with blood. That's where you get your oxygen transferred into your blood. This is a fact. It's not a guess. All right, blood flows from rocks if they were preserved in the correct conditions and entombed in wet red mud. And that's why I call them mud fossils, and all these were. This is a bonehead, and these are the kind of blood scabs that come out of the artery and the vein. This is arterial blood because the red is arterial, and that's from these rocks. They bleed, they literally bleed. You saw the lung had actually red blobs of blood coming out of it. We even have new species here I call no-toes. The toes are built right into them. These are facts. These are not guesses. These are not things that can't be examined. These are things that are refused to be examined. And this is not there's no question here that it's real. It's here. It's a fact. It's here. That scab comes off of what they call fibrin, which is clotting fiber. And it came out from what are these little tiny blood vessels that run between bones. One of them's black. You see the black? That's the vein blood. One of them's red. You see the red? That's the artery blood. And that is from rocks like these inside the bone foramen, where they exchange their nerves and their blood, vein and artery, goes from one to the next. Now, I showed you the specimens, or I will show you, and I'll show you some more. Excellent quality DNA sequence was obtained from these specimens. And what we had them tested for was these two regions which are in the mitochondrial DNA to show that they were human. And the blood was excellent quality. I took it from deep inside. And this is a certified test. They stand beside the results. The only thing they want you to know is that it was me, Roger Spur, not Helix Biolabs, that extracted the samples that were sent to them. I didn't send them the whole creature's body part. I sent them what I extracted. And what I extracted was done in the most meticulous way, and it came directly from the arterial blood supply in every case, and it was dense and excellent quality. And it wasn't a swab, I drilled into them. Now, it wasn't just the lung that I had tested. I had 2 other parts from giant human beings, and I'll show you the parts that I took the blood from as well. All right, this was another one that was on that test. This is a fingertip from this hand, and this is a knuckleball, and there's the bone. It eroded away, and you can actually see the bone right there. And that is muscle over the top of the bone. And on this side is the actual tendon running down like this, and this is the muscle that is around that bone ball. This is real, it's here. This is, oops, sorry about that. If you stuck your left hand out flat, and I just had surgery, so I can't even show you my left hand, but if you put it out flat and splayed it out, you'd see this tendon. And then that's the pad around your palm. The thumb goes off this way. That hand is almost 36 inches wide. And this was CAT scanned, DNA tested. Oh, it's been completely verified and not allowed to be seen. Okay, at first I thought Derek wasn't getting my information, because I've been trying over and over to send him stuff and have people say, get through to Derek, maybe I'm not getting through to him. Oh, well, it appears that he's responding to my overtures, but not to my evidence. And this is what I say, why do facts not account for anything anymore? This is facts. This is no guess here whatsoever. That's a giant fingertip. And that is, it's been DNA tested and not CAT scan, DNA tested. This is just a little big to CAT scan. See now it's almost 3 feet long, and it's a fingertip. That's a little pad that bumps into the next bone. This is the blood supplies. This is the fingernail. And on the other side, the fingerprints are still there. All right, here it is right here. That's what I broke off of that finger tip, so I can get it down inside to get the DNA, because you can't, the top here is just like a rubber mat. You got to go down inside, and I did. And now I'll show you that again. This is what I broke off right there. That's the piece I was just showing you. And then right down in here, you got a ton of blood. The fingertips are just saturated with blood. So this is facts. These are not just somebody's false information. Now, I'm going to show you what Derek's had to say. And maybe I'm reading it wrong. You tell me. But I think he's going after me to say I'm coming up with false facts. And how could people be paying attention to this when all they have to do is go beep, 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 and say there's no such thing as giants? Well, it's because it's literally all nonsense now. He's a physicist, but I'm going to tell you right now, if he's going along with the Bohr theory, he's completely lost in physics too. I don't want to be nasty or anything. I'm not trying to be nasty, but you know, if you think you can just go beep, beep, beep and see everything there is to know, that's just nonsense. Because literally everything I found out is dogma forced upon students and everybody else in that field, or they will be destroyed and put out in the pasture. Go back to work in the fields because we don't like what you're saying. And that's what's happened to me, but I don't care. I was already in the fields. I like the fields. All right, get prepared here. Derek's going to talk about being naive. He thought because we had the internet, we could all share these big ideas and talk amongst ourselves. Well, that didn't happen. It went just the opposite. Okay, my friends, that's just the beginning of the evidence that I have. I have so much evidence to support every single word that I have said. Now, I hope I'm wrong about what Derek's saying here. Sometimes I take things wrong. I hope that's the case. But it seems like he's saying people like me should just take everybody else's word for everything, just clicking on our phone instead of giving out false information. Well, the things I'm giving out are facts. Now let's see if you agree or disagree with me. I don't know. At this point, it's a little vague as to what he is saying.
Okay, so I want to talk about the question of why is it that right now, when it is really easy to get access to facts and information, where you can just pull up your phone and look up anything in the world, why is it now that we have the most access to facts, do facts mean the least?
All right, I can tell you why they mean the least, because they came from academia who has no interest in truth. I showed you facts that they dismiss. Now, is he dismissing or is he going to go my way?
This is what I want to know. Why does fake news spread now? Why are we more polarized?
See, he's saying fake news. So he's saying anybody that's putting out something that's contrary to what you can just plug in your phone and say, what does Yale have to say? What does Harvard have to say? Don't listen to those people anymore. It's crazy. What they're saying is just not true. And, at some point, there's going to be, I certainly wouldn't want to have paid for this kind of education knowing that the facts were available and they refused even to engage in discussion about them. That shows you deception.
Now than ever before. And what I have to kind of admit to you is that I was a real optimist. Maybe I was naive about the internet, but my thinking about having an international communication system whereby anyone anywhere can share anything, and anyone anywhere, regardless of, say, their education background or their class standing, can get access to real information through Wikipedia, okay? My thinking was the internet was going to make everyone happier and more informed, more educated, and probably more tolerant of others around them. And the reason why I think that the internet should make people more tolerant is because it should expose people to people who are not like them, right? I mean, is this crazy? My thinking is that, like, as we have a platform to communicate with each other, people in diverse places, people with different interests from us, and we all have the ability to sort of debate and agree upon what is true.
That's the key. I am not allowed to speak. I have the evidence to support what I say. These guys are just talking about, oh, this happened 50 million years ago, and, the inside of the earth way down where nobody has any idea. So some iron core is swishing around, making magnetic fields, and there's nothing in space, but we're plowing through the solar wind, and it's everything they say goes against what they say. But as long as some guy's saying it, he could say it with authority, and nobody can question him. That's the problem, Derek. I didn't expect this. I got to be honest with you, my friend. I think it's going to be more fair to just let him continue on what he's saying here. You can go back and look at that first part. I'm just going to let him speak. Let me just go back a little bit so we don't lose context here.
People to people who are not like them, right? I mean, is this crazy? My thinking is that, like, as we have a platform to communicate with each other, people in diverse places, people with different interests from us, and we all have the ability to sort of debate and agree upon what is true, we all would become more accepting of the facts. And for a while, I think there were signs that this was happening. There was the Arab Spring, where people in countries that had been kind of dictatorships or people who've been oppressed were rising up. There was the approval of gay marriage in a number of countries. There were agreed upon climate agreements that seemed to suggest the whole international community was coming together. On the internet, you can find that audience because you can aggregate across the whole world. So little niche audiences across every country can all come together and say, we want to learn this and we can support this sort of enterprise. You guys in agreement? Okay, now here's the problem. What I didn't think about was that other communities can form. Communities where people have particular agendas, ideological or religious, or people with extreme biases. Normally, they're not much of a force to reckon with because they are dilute in our populations.
All right. I'm seeing something that I don't like the sounds of this, Derek. It's like they're dilute, just leave them alone. They're crazy people. I am not a crazy person. I show evidence. Evidence.
But on the internet, just like the people who love physics, people who hate science, or people with differing ideologies and people who are intolerant can find each other, and they can come together into these camps. So I think that starts to suggest why we have the problem that we have today. And then what do people do once they've found their communities, once they've found their people? Well, we have meetups, But we share things with each other online. And you can think about some communities that are really innocuous, like the communities of people who are cat lovers, who love sharing like pictures of kittens, and then someone gets the idea to write like a really cute phrase like "I can have cheeseburger" on a picture of a kitten, and then that little image tickles our brains in a way that is really strong and really incredible, and then that spreads throughout the internet. And what you have, in essence, is kind of evolution taking place, an evolution of ideas on the internet. And so I guess what I mean is, one person can post this picture of a cat, and then people can vary the phrases that are on it, and the best phrase is going to win out and get itself replicated and shared across the web more than any other. And the same thing happens with ideological arguments, right? If there's some sort of debate that's happening on the internet, different versions of arguments can pop up. And when you think about two groups on the internet debating, they're not really debating each other. Each community creates what they think the opponent's argument is. And then people within that community can tweak that argument to make it worse and worse and worse, to make it...
That's just not true, Derek. I present the facts. I don't care whose approval. Just listen to what he said again. Each community creates what they think. Each community, like me as a community, and you guys follow what I'm saying. Some of you laugh at me, that's fine, I couldn't care less. I need to be able to say it and have it heard, and now it's being suppressed. And suppression of factual, unwanted information is academic fraud, and that is what's happening right now. See, so he's saying that, oh yeah, well, you guys all think your own way, and
the opponent's argument is. And then people within that community can tweak that argument to make it worse and worse and worse, to make it the most awful version of itself that pushes our buttons. And when it pushes our buttons, then we share it with everyone we know. And we say, look at what the other side is talking about. Look at how awful it is. And we keep evolving the ideas to make them really, really bad. Those are the ones that get shared and spread, just like in evolution. We're evolving arguments to make them the worst form of themselves, and then to make the pushback, even worse. And that, I think, is leading to this polarization. And what's worse, the internet is organized by algorithms. Algorithms that are designed to take the things that are most engaged with. Most. All
right, he's going to say that algorithms want you to find your deepest, darkest part of your soul, and everybody's going to go there and dig at each other. Well, in my case, algorithms have put me away from mainstream. They have said, this guy is not talking our language. Don't let him be seen by people that think they're smart. Now, the people that think they're smart have to see my stuff to find out exactly how smart they are. Because, again, my stuff is factual. It's evidence. It's exactly what Derek's talking about.
Push our buttons that get us going and get us sharing and liking or hating, and they promote those even further. And this, I think, is where something like fake news comes in. How is it possible that during the last election cycle in the U.S., more fake news was spread and shared than real news? That is...
All right. First of all, I don't get into politics because I don't trust anybody. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I have seen in my many years of research, exactly like Max Planck said, science and truth advances one funeral at a time. He didn't say truth. I'm throwing that in because right now truth has no meaning whatsoever. Post-truth, no more truth. Facts don't matter anymore. Let's make up our own facts, and we'll just, he's talking about politics, they just make up whatever they want to make up. There's very little we can do about that. I've given up trying that side of it. I just want people to understand that there was giants on the earth. We don't know anything about our history. Geology is wrong. Physics is wrong. I'll stand up in front of Derek all day long, every day. I did all the things that he's done. I'm sure I have every bit of information that he has and more. And I have done this for many, many years and done the actual experiments. I know he does experiments too. But I am putting a challenge out to him. Speak to me, Derek. Let's do this online. This is exactly what you're talking about. This is what should have happened and didn't happen. And if you think you just get into a university and they say, oh, let's take a look at what you have. No, that doesn't happen. They say, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Don't come here with that. That's what happened at Yale, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, all of them, straight across the board, and I tried virtually all of them.
Extraordinary. And I think it happens because the internet allows groups of people to come together who have really particular views. It allows them to share things with each other, even sharing what they think the opponent's argument is, tweaking it ever so slightly, doing all of these little mutations, little alterations, and finding the ones that push our buttons the most. And then those are the ones that get shared, those are the ones that get liked and hated and everything, and those are the ones the algorithm elevates to the very top. So rather than the internet bringing us together, rather than us converging around the facts, instead, the internet allows us to divide ourselves into factions and to have this crazy evolution of arguments which is facilitated by the algorithms pushing us ever further apart. And that is the best that I've been able to reason about why we now care less about facts than we ever did before. Because deep down, each one of us is based on confirmation bias.
That's just not true. I am based on evidence. I am a material scientist. I present material, or I don't speak about it. If I can't show you evidence, it's nonsense. Wormholes and all this crazy stuff. And I mean, it's just, really, it's very, very silly at this point. I am a material scientist, and one of the last that exists, because if you do real, true material science, you will not be allowed to be seen. You'll be sent off into the woods.
We naturally go out into our world and we seek things that agree with what we think, rather than looking for things that disagree with what we think.
No, that's exactly wrong. I look for what I see, and then I say, how can I explain this? I'm not going out there to confirm anything. That's wrong, Derek. I'm sorry, my friend. I thought you had a whole different idea of life.
That's an innate human trait. As you can see in my video, Can You Solve This?
All right, let's solve it. Talk to me, Derek. Let's solve. Can I solve what?
So it's upsetting. And
Yes,
I think
it
we need
is.
to find a way to overcome this division and...
All right, there we go right there. Derek, my friend, I can be extremely respectful, very patient, slow, addressing the tiniest little nuances. But we have to do this in a format that we can present both sides presenting evidence. And I will listen to theories. Yes, absolutely. A theory is the beginning of thought. Once you have the theory, then is there anything to support the theory? I have found things that I had to go back from what I found to figure what supported that, and I discovered that ancient texts support the things that I have shown. My mud fossils are basically exactly what was written by Hesiod and Ovid. Look up Ovid's Metamorphosis. It starts right off by saying the earth is constructed of bodies that were turned into the natural landscape by the gods. Now, I have also gone deeply into the religious side of it too, to try to figure out what the hell is going on there, because there is more to this whole thing than just bugs and slime turned into human beings and all the other things. Absolutely not. If you look up the ancient texts, these are the kind of things, and I say absolutely not. So that knowledge, oh, look at the guy, he's just running his mouth off. Well, I get upset, and he gets upset. Let's get upset together, my friend, and we'll try to work this out. But he's right. We got to work this out. This is a mess. When you can be forced to say what academia forces you to say, or be failed in your life for not complying with they force, even though they know what they're telling you is not true. And they do know it's not true now. And I know they know it's not true, and you should know it's not true, what they're telling you, just by what the things I just showed you.
Find a way to agree again on what is truth and what is not. Thank you.
Okay, my friend, so I'm hoping Derek will get back to me. I'm going to leave my email address for Derek to respond. And I would love to discuss this with him on the side, and then we can make a determination how we could go forward presenting this. I have some other ways I'm going to do this now, but I don't want to just go against everybody and create a division like he's saying. And that's what I've had to do in order to have anybody listen at all, and all it has done is create more of a division. I have, for me, a lot of people, 150,000 people or so. I mean, he's got millions. But he's sticking with mainstream. It doesn't work anymore, Derek. We need to talk this thing through. All right. I'll leave you my email address, and please, let's discuss this. I am a material scientist. I've done this for 50 years, so I have all the documentation going way back then. I called light atomic vapor, and it is. I showed you what the particles are. We need to talk, my friend, and I can be extremely respectful. And I've always thought highly of your research, very highly, because you ask a lot of questions. But you're not answering the ones I'm asking.